So provide for those you love. Here's the third one. Luke chapter 23, verse 46. When Jesus had cried out with a loud voice, he said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. The basic moment at Calvary to me where everything is over is without a doubt it is finished. Okay? I did not use it as finished for the simple fact that it is finished to me has a spiritual statement that is being made. Teleo, Greek teleo, what is done will be done and will always be done. My death physically and your death physically is not in that sense a perfect tense death. Like you're dead then, dead now and shall always be dead does not apply to us in the Spirit, because in reality we have a resurrection. Therefore, I didn't use it as finished. Besides, all I could really think to do with it in the natural realm is go ahead and get everything done you need to get done before you die. Work on that now. But to me, the one that really speaks is this moment where Jesus releases his Spirit. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. Or this third one, trust God with your soul. Could probably say trust God with your spirit as well, because you can parse the difference in the spirit and the soul, I know. The soul, the emotion, the psyche, the spirit, the breath of God that is in us. Reality, you can trust him with both, because neither of them remain behind after your physical body dies. But part of our death is to trust God with our soul, to commit our spirit or our soul into Father's hands. Notice he doesn't say, God, into your hands I commit my spirit, but rather, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. By the way, Jesus always refers to his Father as Father. Only in my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Do we ever get Jesus referring to the Father as anything other than Father? Commit your spirit into the Father's hands and acknowledge that you're a son or you're a daughter and that you are going into union with the eternal. This is fearless death. This is us facing who we are in Christ, facing the end of who we are in the natural realm, in the place that almost all of us say we're supposed to be, and that is Christians die a fearless death. We have nothing to fear. Jesus has faced death on our behalf. And yet I've watched people die in the faith and watched them be afraid of facing the end, because I think in many ways we are not committing what comes next into the hands of the Father. And I don't think we have to wait till we die to do this, but to realize that our life is not ours now. That right now, my breath, every breath I take is in him. That it's consumed with who he is. That I am in him and he is in me. And that by releasing what I am, when the natural death comes, I'm simply stepping across from one place into the other. I honestly think that one of the reasons this was so impactful last week when we taught the cross teaches us how to die, the reason I think we got so much feedback was partly because I was consumed in the teaching with helping explain the death of somebody I loved. I had to do a funeral 2 days after that lesson. And so my whole study going in was consumed with losing someone you care for, that it happened to be. No coincidence. It was the Spirit, because I knew where I was going days before we got there, and then we're going to do a funeral. And you go, these two things are coming together at the same time. So that was a work of the Spirit, to try to get my mind into that place of releasing that natural man back into the earth, to release that spiritual man into the place where he or she can go home. But then watching and doing that funeral and watching someone who didn't wait to commit or trust God with his soul, but he trusted God with his soul through his Christian walk to the place that the funeral wasn't a funeral. His wife got up and talked and said, this isn't a funeral, this is a celebration, because this was the life that he lived. This is the life that we live together. I know where he is. I know who he is with. I don't think we have to wait until we face the darkest tunnel of the last moments of our lives to step into that area where we release our soul to Him. It's part of what we get to do now that we've entered into His death, is completely trust our soul to Him. I think if we could do that, we could face sickness, we could face adversity, we could face persecution, we could face problems. And you might say, well, the church is pretty good at that, but I disagree. I don't think the church is very good at it for the most part, because we aren't allowing people to die. And therefore they're freaked out about persecution, and they're freaked out about stress, and they're freaked out about problems, and they're freaked out about sickness and disease, because they think it's beneath their place as God's children to ever have anything bad happen to them. And they think if I walk in favor, none of that bad stuff's going to happen. And if I'm where I need to be with the Lord, then God will take all of those things away. And yet, tragedy happens to us all. The one thing that links you to every other human being on the earth is not your skin, it's not your education, it's not your money, it's not your country, it's not your culture, and it's not even your religion. You know what links you to everybody? Atheist, agnostic, Muslim, Christian, Jew. Every person on the face of the earth is going to suffer. Every one of them. Something. Some really horrifically. Some a little, but all of us all the way. And all the way to the end, at the end, we all end up dying. And so at the end, we all go through the same door. Like you're going to die. So the thing that links us as humanity is that we suffer. How we suffer is different person to person, place to place. It's even different season to season. It might not even be the same at 40 as it was at 20, as it was at 10, but the suffering is the same. The suffering, the fact that you suffer is the same. Committing that into His hand is the lifelong process.